All right, Bismillah. We're back with Muslim basketball. This is a bye-week podcast, so we have a couple things set up for the day. But first, I am back. I know you guys were all waiting for me. I'm back. I know last week you had that bald dude on. I apologize for all viewers who had to watch that. And I'm not talking about this bald guy.
I'm not bald.
Okay, I'm talking about the other bald guy. But his daughter made a great appearance.
Yeah, it was
So
nice having them on. They're
yeah.
good. They're good guests. It's nice to not have you driving me nuts, and to get to run the show the way that a show should be run. Um, we're happy that you're back. Was your vacation with Ethan worth the loss that you guys took? Because you guys were gone.
Yeah, it was worth it. You got to make sacrifices in life. And actually, I lost Ethan at the airport. So, Ethan, wherever you are out there, I don't know what to say, but you got to find your way back because we're gonna need you. But it's good to be back, and we have a couple things in line today for you guys. A couple, hopefully, fun analysis and a couple segments that you guys should enjoy. Prior to that, of course, we want to remind you guys to donate, to go to our link tree on our Instagram. We'll also attach it in the description. Make sure you guys are donating. We know that the situation in Gaza and in Palestine is getting worse and worse every day. I know it can feel like we're kind of spinning our wheels and maybe not making that much progress because we're so far away from them, but we got to do everything we can. And if that means donating $5 or $2 or just sharing a link, then we're going to do that. So make sure you're doing it. Share the links. Make the donations, small or big. We're trying to reach our goal, and yeah, the hoodies came in yesterday, last week,
The
right?
hoodies came in. I think AR is calling for kind of like, if you didn't get if you didn't get one of the hoodies, this is kind of like your last chance to. Um, I'd recommend them. Our family got hoodies. I know a lot of people got hoodies. They're really comfy,
Yeah, remember
really
that
nice. The art on them is fantastic. It's for a good cause.
we have a donor who's matching all donations. So all the whatever the purchase price is on the hoodie, I think is $40. It's being matched by an
Which
anonymous
is
donor.
not a bad price for hoodies, dude. These days, hoodies are
Yeah, yeah.
going like
And you're
60
basically
bucks.
making an $80 donation, right?
Yeah.
Like think about that. I mean, minus the cost that we spend on the hoodie, right? Like we're not profiting from it, so um, it's a great opportunity to increase your ability to donate.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna start with looking at the standings
Right.
and just kind of take a look at who's where, and we're each gonna talk about a team who has surprised us in a good way or a bad way. So
Sure.
you want to run down the
Yeah. Right
standings?
now in first place. So before the last games, there was what a 3 or 4 way tie for first place of teams that were what 2-1. Now we have Sheikh Jarrah is in first place. They're 3-1. They're on a 2-win streak. Dir Yassin is 2-2. Now there's a what 1, 2, 3, 4 way tie
Four-way tie.
for second place. Dir Yassin lost one. Lud lost two. Let's go Nazareth. Nazareth 2-2. We just won once in a row. 1 win streak. Ramallah 2-2. They
Why'd you have
just
to
lost.
point out you guys are on a one-win streak? That doesn't mean anything.
Tiberius is a 1-3. They just won their first game of the season. We spoke last week with Isha from Isha Works and her bald dad. We're looking for another win from them to really put the league on notice in their own words
So
or
let's
Qasim's words.
let's take a look. What's the team that has surprised you this
So
year?
the team that I have as surprisingly enough, is your team, Lod. I think I'm surprised that it seems like, I mean, unfortunately, I'll admit that you and Dawood not or you and actually no, Dawood was out too. You, Dawood, and Ethan being gone really did hurt you guys, and I think that I still believe Nazareth would have won. Always have unwavering faith in my team, but I definitely think that the game would have been a little bit more challenging. It felt a lot more like a pickup game. Maybe it would have felt like a pickup game with refs if you were there. But I'm surprised that correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you built your team as like a 3-point shooting team, right? um, I feel like I'm surprised that it's working, right? Because I think that a lot of the guys on your team need the ball, right? Like Ethan needs the ball in his hands. Ros needs the ball in his hands. Salim needs the ball in his hands. Dawood needs the ball in his hands. You have a lot of 3-point shooters, and I think I'm mostly surprised about like the unselfishness that your team has. That like those guys who are on the perimeter are actually passing the ball to try to get a better shot. I feel like I would have expected a lot more selfish play because of how many guys you have on the team who need the ball in their hand to be doing something. Um, I I guess I was just skeptical
Yeah,
because sometimes when you get a team of young guys, uh, young white guys who all want to shoot threes, like they all want to shoot threes, but
yeah.
I'm surprised at the unselfishness.
Well, when you look down at our team, like you said, I think there's like I think maybe you have a misunderstanding of what it means. Like, I don't think everyone needs the ball on our team. So, like you mentioned, like Ethan needs the ball, but Ethan doesn't need to be holding the ball. Ethan needs to catch the ball and shoot, right? Same thing with
Mm-hmm.
Dawood. Same thing with Salim. Like, these are guys who are great at, you're right, getting the ball, but they're shooting it. They're not putting the ball on the floor. Look at our team. Like, who puts the ball on the floor? It's Hos, Akbar, and myself, really. James puts the ball on the floor to kick it, but there's really not many ISO guys on our team. So, like, for example, your team is a team that's built on two ISO. They actually, honestly, your team reminds me of the Knicks sometimes, like Brunson and Randall. I mean, obviously, those are some high praises for your two guys, but that's the style.
Deserving
Is
praises.
that people get out of the way, and those two guys ISO, right? And then when the defense starts going crazy and collapsing hard on them, then you guys like I'm gonna start getting more opportunities to score. Our team is not really built that way. It's built like, like you said, a lot of shooters. The unselfishness is important. Last week was rough. Congrats to you guys on the win. I think Farhad said like can't blame the other team for winning, right? Like
Yeah,
you can't blame them for playing against a team that shows up, right? Like it's not your fault that we weren't there. Me and Ethan
sure.
were in the Bahamas together, kicking it back, pineapple, pina coladas, and everything else. But we'll get it back on track.
I I I'm just my point was just that I feel like you have a lot of catch and shooters,
Yeah,
and that's their bread and butter.
yeah,
Like you said, like you don't see Dawood driving very much. Like he
yeah,
catches the ball, and you basically assume that he's either going to pass it or he's going to launch it from downtown.
yeah.
I'm just surprised that with a team that feels like there's so many of those guys, you guys are doing a really good job of moving the ball to try to get a better shot. So
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
that's
The
what I'm
team that
surprised
I
about.
want to highlight is the youth team. If I told you coming in after the draft that the youth team would be 1-3 through 4 weeks, would you believe that? Ain't no way.
Probably not. I probably
Yeah,
would not have believed it.
1-3. The thing is that this is the team that probably maintained the most chemistry and unity throughout the draft, right?
Yeah,
Like you're playing on a team with guys you never played with before. I'm playing on a team I've never played with these guys before. Every team is like that except their team.
hmm
This is a team. I mean, Farhad has some callbacks from some older teams, but for the most part, these are combinations of new teams. The youth team is the youth team,
sure.
basically, right? They've been not good.
Yeah,
I wasn't there last week. I was told that they had a good performance.
I
Um,
thought it was an honestly, I'll give it to them. I like to give them a hard time,
yeah,
but they had an impressive
yeah.
performance. They played
We,
especially.
yeah.
Sorry to cut you off,
No, you're good.
especially without their MVP point guard.
Yeah,
Having AM
without AI.
missing and for them to still walk away 58 to 41.
Yeah. So what's the key to that win? I wasn't there to watch it, but I see that Hasib is still chucking up shots. Um, I see that Maz had a great game. I think really the key with these guys to winning games is one of the twins having a big game. So Hakeem, and I'll talk about him later on the podcast. Hakeem has been having an incredible season. Um, he kind of took a step back this game. He had a great game still, but he didn't hit the numbers that he's been hitting. But then
Mm-hmm.
Maz stepped right up and had a spectacular game. 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's near triple double on a 17-point performance. So the key is one of those twins stepping up, which they have been. But it just hasn't been good enough. 1-3 is pretty surprising to me. The forfeit, I know like we've kind of ran that river dry at this point, but that was crazy, unacceptable. Like guys not showing up because they're sleeping is crazy. And
I mean, I think that unfortunately that's like a risk that you run when you draft
I guess,
three
yeah,
brothers, right? Like there's always like if they're gone on like vacation, if none of them know how an alarm works,
Yeah.
then you're missing three of your guys,
Yeah.
you got those three guys are important to that team. They need
Yeah.
those three guys to show up.
I want to not skip over the rest of the teams. I know those were kind of our two highlighted teams, but I do want to touch on the rest of the teams because I know a lot of the guys from those other teams tune into the podcast. So I just want to give a word or two about each team, and we'll just go
Sure,
down. Sheikh Jarrah, like we've all been impressed by them this season.
sure.
Abdul Wadud, I think we'll talk about him later on the pod, excuse me. But really, the guys who have stepped up big time when Andy has had
That dude's
an
going
insane
20
season.
rebounds
It's
last
crazy.
week.
It's
20
crazy.
rebounds. And the
Like,
addition of David Barber coming
yeah.
back, and in his first game, he walks away with 11 rebounds.
I don't.
Who they had 45 rebounds.
Yeah.
Dir Yashin, this is whose team?
Osman.
Osman's team. 26 rebounds. They had 26 rebounds. What's it called? Monem's team almost doubled them on rebounds alone. That's nuts.
I can't really see who can out rebound this team. When you have Abdul Wadud, you have David, you have Andy, and you have like their guard guys are like Josh Hart guys. Like L grabs rebounds at like 4 foot nothing.
Yeah.
Afzal is another guy who grabs some rebounds. Sultan, I don't know if let me look at his stats. He's only averaging 1 rebound a game. I think he's still a guy who's getting comfortable in the league, but he seems like the type of dude who's going to try to fight.
He can play physical.
Yeah,
I've had a couple times playing with him in pickup. He can get physical. I just think that he just
figuring out.
He just needs to get his moment to really shine.
Dir Yassin. So that's Sheikh Jarrah. Dir Yassin.
Hey, once again, every single podcast I got to say it. I love watching Mr. David Flores play.
Yeah, dude.
Super underrated. 8 rebounds, 6 points for his last game. 3 for 9 from the for his shooting percentage.
That's last week.
Yeah, I like watching him play. He's one of those sneaky dudes who gets the ball up.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Sad Qureshi had fantastic. I mean, what do you say about him?
He's a great player.
Having a great player.
I want to see a little more out of Wase. He's having a rough start to this season. I feel like
if only he could predict himself winning and shooting better.
He's getting the points up, but it's on a lot of shots. And we know that he's a guy who can really make it rain when he's on. So
I think something that we're going to see more of, because we saw that I'm starting to see this in his games.
Yeah.
A lot less shooting from the parking lot. I'm seeing a lot more driving on his end, and I think that takes people by surprise, because everyone knows Wase's game is to shoot it right when he passes the half court line. But now you're seeing him drive. I think that throws a lot of people off because they're expecting that deep three, but he's been driving, and I feel like it's been working. And I feel like the more he does it, the more it's going to drop. So people got to start. People have to start expecting that from him. That the driving and the 3-point shot now.
Nazareth, we'll move on to them. I mean, they've handled business in 2 weeks, and they've lost in 2 other weeks, and the losses have been really ugly. I feel week 1, what? I mean, you guys lost by almost 20.
No, go ahead. Yeah. Say what you want to say.
I will. You guys lost by almost 20. And I know, like, I think I spoke to
in our first game.
No, in your third game.
Oh.
And I spoke to Anwar, and he said, like, it feels like this is a game where we were right there the whole game, and then they started running away with it. And then
we held them to 3 for the entire first
half.
The
score kind of gets blown out at the end, and it looks crazier than it is. So I'll give you guys that. And I know that there's been health issues because Ahmed had the broken nose, and now, I mean, I can't tell how much is it affecting his play. I'm sure it is. Stamina has been an issue with this team, but I mean, like, objectively, I know that these guys have what it takes to put wins together.
I mean, we moved up to second in the power rankings. I'm not really sure who's doing the power rankings, but thanks for that. I don't know how that happened, but we moved up 2 places.
We got more than half of the season still in front of us in terms of games played. I don't expect this team to be in like a 4th or 5th, 6th spot. I expect them to be in the top half of the standings by the end of the league, at the end of the season. And if they're not, then I would like if they're the 5th seed by the end of you guys are the 5th seed by the end of the season, I would be pretty worried about your playoff performance, because it means that hasn't gelled. You guys are not a team that can roll into the playoffs, right? Like, I think the youth team is a team that could go like 1-8 on the season or whatever and still manage to pull a win off in the playoffs because they're good and they play together. Like, I think you guys need to be getting wins, putting things together, and rolling in the third or second or first seed.
Sure. I mean, like, without indulging on some of our team's planning and where we're at, I
Yeah,
think that we'll see in the coming weeks a much more well-rounded Nazareth,
yeah,
because I think that for a lot of us, this is our first time playing together, right? And
hmm
these first few weeks have been a lot of us like figuring out like how do my teammates play and building some chemistry, right? Like, I especially every single week I'm learning something different about the guys that I'm playing with, and how to play off of them, and how to what my role is, and like how can I push my teammates to succeed in a way that like I'm not like I'm not holding them back. Like I'm helping them play the game that they need to play for us to win. And I think a
yeah,
lot of the guys on our team are also in that position where they're like, okay, like, how do I put like Wakas and Anwar in a position that they're comfortable with, because they're our main scorers, right? Like,
hmm
how do we use Matt the right way? Like, I think that you'll see in the next few weeks
yeah.
a more well-rounded Nazareth.
Last team is Ramallah. I mean, it's hard to really differentiate these teams when everyone is 2-2, right? We'll have a better tell in week 7 or 8 when things are really spread out a little more.
Sure.
But I wish I was on the pod last week because I really wanted to say this, and I know Farhad watches this. I'm sure like AR, some of those guys. I know Drew watches this pod. Here's the thing that I'll say. I think everyone thinks the key to this team is Drew,
Mm-hmm.
because Drew puts up the numbers, and Drew is a leader in terms of the way that he plays. And he's a fantastic player. All credit to him on that front. But the 2 games that they've lost, week 2, they were missing Drew and AR. Last week, they were just missing AR.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not
No, last week
mistaken,
I think last week they're also missing Sad,
okay, I'm not too worried about
who's
that.
been a sleeper. I think he
Drew
gets.
scored 24 points last week, and they lost by 17 points. I don't see this team winning many games without Abdurrahman. I know, like, when you look at his stats, they don't jump off the page, but they don't jump off the page really at all. I mean, it's 4 points, 6 rebounds, but it's all the intangibles. They beat us because of AR.
Yeah,
They beat us because of AR.
he's got a
The
presence.
energy that he brought, the presence he brought, the wit and the intelligence and grit down the stretch to not get exhausted after a 40-minute game and not give up,
Yeah,
and like the way that he pushed us, it was fun. Like, I mean,
sure.
it was not fun to lose a game, but like, it was a fun
Yeah, you
competition.
like when it's
Yeah.
competitive.
The reason I bring him up is because I know he's been dealing with the calf strain, and it's been kind of bothering him. And I don't know if that's why he wasn't here last week, but if and I know they just lost Ismail,
Yeah, that's a huge loss for them because they need
huge
that
loss,
guy.
and I
And
know that
inshallah, Ismail, you get better soon. It's very fun
inshallah,
watching you
yeah,
play.
yeah, Rabbani Yashfik. Um, there's been some talks about replacing him, but even still, that means now you got to integrate a new player. Um, anyways, just I'm rambling, but I worry about how this team performs without AR. And if his health continues to be a concern down the line,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many games they're going to win. Honestly, honestly, because if Drew's dropping 24 and they
Yeah,
still can't win a game, right?
yeah.
I mean,
This is
it's
what this is what I would say. First of all, Nadim, Omer, and Umar, you guys got to find ways to be meaningful participants in your wins. Um, 0 and 5, or 0 for 5, 0 for 4, 0 for 2.
yeah,
Um,
not good enough.
yeah, like, and I don't like to consider myself a hater on this show, because especially like
It's usually my
I'm
role.
yeah, I'm not, and I wouldn't consider this hating. I'm hoping that this is motivation for you guys. Your team needs you guys to show up in any way that you can. Um, you guys got to find. I mean, 2 rebound. Nadim had 2 rebounds, and 2 steals,
Yeah,
5 turnovers. Like, a lot of. Unfortunately, there's not much to look at here because everything is zeros. No rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks.
yeah.
Um, you guys have to find ways to have a more
I
meaningful
want to make a point
participation,
on that,
and just sorry, go ahead.
and then you can go right back into
Sure.
it. Um, just if we're trying to advise them, something I always like to tell guys I play with, and I always tell myself, is there's 3 things you can do to help your team. Either get in front, like Drew's been doing, like AR does, get in front, lead the way, and take charge. Get behind, help the guys who are leading the way, push in whatever way you can, grab the rebounds, don't turn the ball over, make the open shots, hustle, or get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, help, or you can't lead, then at least, like you said, you can't be having 2 rebounds, 1 steal, and 6 turnovers.
Yeah, you have
What
to
do
do
you
something.
get out the way then?
Yeah.
Right? Make yourself useful however you can, but don't hurt your team's chances of winning. But you can continue.
Listen, I'm I think the league as a whole could say like Yusuf is one to talk about going 0 for 5 for shooting, right? Because I'm still trying to find my own place on my team as specifically as a shooter, right? But I think when you look at my stats, I find when I'm not making it, this is also an advice. I'm not like trying to compare. Um, when I'm not making it, I have to find a way to help my team in another way, right? Like so if the shots are really not dropping, like I'm going for steals. My I have to up my defense. I have to fight for some kind of rebound. I have to fight for some kind of assist. Like when the ball's in my hand, if I know that the shots aren't dropping, okay, like then I'm not gonna shoot, but I'm gonna try to put my boys in a good position for them to score, right? Get the ball to the guys who are making it. Those 3 dudes, your team needs you.
Yep.
And to listen, I know the mug was a gift. It says Farhad's #1 hater, but I'm really not a big Farhad
Yo, I need
hater.
a mug, Farhad. What the heck?
I'm not a
I
big.
miss 1 week. He gets a hat. He gets a mug.
Next week it'll be a Tesla. I'm really not a Farhad hater. I like watching you guys play. Farhad, you need to take more shots. I want to see you shooting more. The season's not, like Yassine said, the season's not over. There's still more than half of it to go.
Saad was out that week too.
Saad is out that
if
week.
Saad and AR are out, then Farhad needs to be jacking.
Yeah, the season's not over for you guys, and I know you guys don't. I know that you guys are not seeing it as over, but don't let the league count you guys out. I need to see those 3 dudes help being more helpful. And inshallah, unfortunately losing Ismail hurts, but
bad, yeah. He was
inshallah you guys will find some comparable replacement, and
yeah.
Let's just turn it up in the second half.
So we're gonna move on and talk about individuals. We're gonna talk about some league leaders, and we're gonna highlight
2 players
each who have been surprised by in good or bad ways. So let's just go through it. I know everyone already knows that Drew had a huge game, and with such small sample size, one big game moves you up on a lot of the brackets.
Okay, his face is on every single one. Single one.
And I'm not taking anything away from him. Dude's playing great. He always does. I mean, he's got to be in the running for MVP at this point, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll highlight him. He's leading the league in points, steals, and blocks, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, so let's just look at the top 5s and each of them assists. L doing a great job distributing the ball as he always does.
Sure.
Andy is somehow up there. Like Andy's the leader in rebounds and second in assists.
I mean, dude's a beast, and I think that he flies under the radar because he's quiet. You don't hear him talking on the court very much. But I mean, the dude's a beast, and if you ever run into him, I mean, like that dude's solid.
Yeah, he is.
It hurts to bump. It hurts to bump into Andy. If you never bumped into Andy, bumping into him once will let you know who he is.
Your guy who you always like to talk about, David Flores, third in rebounds.
He's a good dude.
Hakeem, my MVP front runner, is second in points. Saad Qureshi having a great season. The Ahmed brothers taking the 4 and 5 spots at 15 and 14 points respectively.
It's really great being on those dudes.
Yeah,
I love playing with them.
Yeah, mashallah, there's some great players.
Mashallah.
So nothing else really sticks out. I mean, Drew averaging 3 steals a game is crazy. I'm also up there.
I'm putting the league on notice, man. I this is my second season, bro. I've broken into the top 10 for steals.
You're picking yourself as a player who shocked you?
No.
That's crazy. No. Yo, he has it in his notes here.
That is not.
I'm going crazy. I'll put some respect on my name.
No.
That's in his notes.
I'm creeping my way up the steals ladder. The goal is to end the season at #1. I think I'm what number am I? 8, I think.
You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 8.
Number 8.
Yeah.
It's the little goals.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so
highlight a player.
The first player that surprised me, no surprise, is Mr. Monim Khan.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think anyone's surprised that this guy's surprising everyone because for the most part, I feel like, I mean, he's had 56 points this season.
That's crazy.
13, 11,
Mashallah.
12 against us, and 13, and then another 13. Listen.
Dude, that's crazy.
I don't want this to be a fluke. As much as I want it to be a fluke, I don't want it to be a fluke. I want to see that Monem is successful and
crazy
and keeps this up because this makes him It's unprecedented.
It's insane.
You don't expect that out of Monem, but that every time he lets it fly with that ugly shot from like behind
Yeah.
his head, it goes in. And he does that with people right in his face. He'll just let it fly and it'll go in. He's got that ugly little
Jump hook that
that
he
jump
does,
hook
yeah.
and it goes in. So you
And
know
the
what?
turnaround. He has a couple signature moves.
Yeah.
Honestly, Monem, I don't know if you've been in the lab, but I agree. Monem has been cooking.
I'm impressed.
Cooking.
You know,
And on good percentages too. Almost 50% from the field and 40% from three. Like, this dude is putting up numbers right now
yeah.
on efficiency. Like,
I mean, hey man,
yeah.
all respect to that dude.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I'm gonna highlight my guy. I'm gonna start getting hate for this because I'd be talking about this guy all the time. I gotta highlight Hakeem Medic. Still my front runner for MVP. I'm sick that he fell asleep that week and missed an opportunity to up his stats, but um, I think he's been the catalyst for this team most of the time. He's averaging like 16 points a game or something. Um, I don't know. I like the way he plays. He's a great shooter. He can drive to the rack. He was the second twin picked in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Maz was picked first. So I had thought like, okay, Maz is clearly going to be the guy, but it's been Hakeem. Um, yeah, he's balling out on great percentages. Also, like Monem, 66% from the field and 40% from three. I don't know what these guys are eating. I don't know what kind of protein powder they're drinking, but somebody has to buy it for me.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
yeah, I mean, shout out to Hakeem. I hope he keeps it up because he's my front runner for MVP still. And hopefully we beat him this week and he plays like dog water, and then he can continue balling out after that.
all right. Listen, I got out of Whitehall, Pennsylvania, age 18, 6'3" center, Rocky.
Oh
Listen,
man, don't do it to him.
he surprised me in a good way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He surprised me in a good way. Listen, week 1, 2, and 3, all L's.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna ignore week 3 because whatever. That's the snoring day.
Oh.
The first two,
Snooze gate.
yeah, the first 2 games, he wasn't shooting very much. 0 for 3, 0 for 1. But he got rebounds in both.
Yeah.
This week, because they were missing some guys, he had a serious chance to play and to show his value to his team.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like he did for a guy. This is his rookie season.
Rocky, no, he played last season.
Okay.
Year 2.
All right, year 2. How much did he play last year?
Couple
I feel
games.
like I watched most of the. He played a couple games, but I didn't see a lot out of him. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, he got time to play this. He got time to play last week, like real time to like get comfortable and cook and do his thing. 3 for 4, 2 for 2 from the 3. What else do we got here? 4 rebounds, 1 steal. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like he had a pretty solid game. I guess I wouldn't really say I'm surprised as much as I would say is like I'm happy to see he finally got some play time.
Yeah.
And I think he made the most of the time that he had while he was on the court, and I think he showed his team like this is why I got to be in.
Hey man, we love Rocks on the podcast, man. We're always talking about him.
Yeah.
I just visited his country, so
when you were hiding.
I was hiding from him.
When you went for hiding in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, so we're hoping he continues this from last week.
I'd love to see him getting more play time.
Definitely.
Him and Selman, I'd like to see both of those dudes getting more play time and having a prosperous season.
So a guy that I want to highlight who has surprised me, but not in a great way, is Osman Shah.
In his defense, I think he's been out sick.
He played
sick,
so he's missed 2 weeks.
All right,
so he's missed 2 weeks. The 2 weeks that he's been here, he scored 3 points and 6 points. I know the one game he was coming back from Umrah. I don't know what the excuse is week 2, but listen, as a captain of that team, I just need to see some more out of him. They're 2-2. I think that they have a good roster. They have a lot of shooters. They have some good ball handlers, but he's the rock down in the paint, right? There's not many great centers in this league. You have Matt,
fantastic center, by the way,
You have
probably the best.
Uthman Mohammed on my team. You have Rocky, who's kind of a center. But Osman Shaw is in like the good centers grouping.
Sure.
So he's a guy that you want to see kind of dominate the rebounds, get those putbacks, get to the free throw line. Um, and I don't know, what the issue has been, but I just want to see some more out of him. I think that if he really starts putting it together, that his team will probably put together a lot more wins. I think he could be the missing piece right now
Yeah.
in terms of winning games. Um,
I'd like to see some more out of him too. Even
yeah,
though I think that his excuse is that he was sick and I think he was gone on Armora.
played 2 games though.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you always seem to forget like when it favors you. Like something.
Let's
Is,
move on to the next.
yeah.
Let's
Okay.
move on to the second.
All right.
The second, what I imagine is probably the second to
Um.
last segment.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I think a lot of you guys are going to be excited to hear this because there have been a lot of people asking about. There were a lot of people who wanted to know where they were. So I think a lot of people didn't know how much effort went into the draft. That there were
Hmm.
mock drafts.
Hmm.
That there were projections. Um, and when I had mentioned that, like just in general conversation with people, people were like, "What?" Like there were mock drafts um,
Yeah. Well, I guess we
and
can kind of go through
and
that.
we so yeah, if you'd like to discuss kind of
So
like how that went, I think people didn't realize how serious it was as much as
yeah.
like I think a lot of people just thought it was like Anwar sitting with his brother and being like, I guess we'll take Yusuf right
No.
away.
No.
Like,
Definitely not. No. No. I think they accidentally took you. They were trying to call a different
so
name
why
and
don't you
then got
explain
misread.
why don't you
They didn't
explain
mean
to
to
us
pick you. It was an
why don't
accident.
you explain to us
Um, yeah, so we did the draft this year. I guess I didn't know. I guess when you're working on the stuff, you kind of forget that there's people on the outside who don't get to see, kind of what went into it. But we had a whole draft board with projections, with strengths, weaknesses, height, weight, experience, commitment levels, and we were able to put that all into an Excel sheet. Abdurrahman Hussein, one of our commissioners, did a great job compiling it into an Excel sheet. Um, and we were able to kind of see where some guys should go. We got to see like all their vitals, height and weight and stuff. And so we were able to kind of tell, what kind of role different guys could play. And then, yeah, we were mocking drafts for weeks. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks straight where I know Anwar, Waqas, and Farhad were there's rumors that they were at work, doing mock drafts together. I know myself personally, I was mocking. I think I probably did 3 or 4 different full mock drafts where I drafted players to teams that I expected them to go to see what players would fall to me, what my
mhm.
best picks are at certain spots. There were trades involved in the draft for those who don't know. So yeah, there was a lot that went into it. And then
And you know what, I think that that's something that really sets this league apart from other
yeah.
leagues, right? Like I don't know, and I mean, I haven't played in any leagues, but I've had it besides this one. But I've had a chance to talk to a lot of the guys in this league, and I always ask them like why are you playing in the Muslim league?
Hmm.
And it's always that like, and I said this last week, like this feels like one of the most legitimate leagues that there are for like about like adults,
Yeah.
right? Like you're getting a rating, like your
Yeah.
MBR. You're getting your MBR. You're getting your rating. We did an entire draft where people showed up in suits and we're taking it seriously, right? The refs, playoffs. I mean, like I think the entire website as a whole sets this league apart from other leagues, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think that this draft was just another thing that sets this league apart from other leagues, and I would say that I'm sure a lot of people would agree with the sentiment of appreciation to the commissioners and the people who are working behind the scenes to to put together a league that's this serious and legitimate for us to play in, especially because you guys are like volunteers, like you're not making any money from this. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Well, we have a good team. We all work really well together. We delegate tasks well to each other. Everyone kind of splits the effort. It goes 4 ways. So we're always bouncing ideas off each other. We're always helping each other out. Alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
inshallah, our efforts will be rewarded and that our intentions are pure. Um, Yeah, so let's just take a brief look at the biggest risers and fallers. So we'll look at guys who are projected to be higher than they were picked, or guys who are projected to be lower than they picked, and maybe just point out a couple of hits in the draft, some steals, and potentially some busts.
Sure.
So let's just start right at the top because I want to hear your opinion on this. So obviously, Drew pick one is a good pick,
Yeah, I mean
right?
that's where he was projected to go,
He was projected to go first for good reason,
and he
and he's
went first.
balling out.
Yeah,
But where I really want to stop is Abdul Wadud.
sure.
He went second overall, and
He was
he had
project.
said on the draft commitment level that he was 50 to 75% committed, which is a reason that a lot of guys had been a little bit weary about picking him.
Sure.
His commitment has showed that it's been 50, 75%. I know he sometimes has to take I think his daughters
Mm-hmm.
to practice or I don't know what, but sometimes he's showing up late. Um, I think it's affected the team. Besides that, his performance, you know, do you think that his performance has been the performance of the second overall pick?
I don't want to be a hater,
Oh God,
but
man.
because I wouldn't consider this
Just
hating. I'm
keep
just
it
trying to look.
real.
Yeah, if I'm gonna keep it real, I don't think so. Maybe closer to a second round pick. Like let's look. Um, let's do this right. Okay, so season stats. Like Drew went first. Let's see how
Yeah.
how Drew is doing this season.
So compare the
56,
two. Compare the
56.
two. I got them right here. Compare the two. Just look at the raw stats. 18 points to 10 points, 10 rebounds to 7 rebounds, 2 to 2 on assists. But look at the efficiencies. Drew's at 60% from the field. Abdul Wadud is at 30. Look at the free throws. 20%. Drew is at 60%.
Yeah.
So
Here's the
the
thing.
drop off between 1 and 2 is
I mean,
crazy.
look, like game 1 and 2, 10 rebounds, 3 rebounds the next game, 11 points and 14 the next, and then a huge drop in points.
Yeah.
Against us, he had 9, and last week he had 8. 15 rebounds, credit where credit is due. Um, but I think for a second round pick, I mean, look at who went first round: Drew, Abdul Wadud, Saad Qureshi, Waqas Ahmed, Maz, and
James.
James. Okay, Drew's having an MVP season.
Yep.
Saad Qureshi hit 26 last week.
Great season.
Waqas Ahmed, Player
Having a
of the
great
Week, is
season.
his second week, and Maz Malik, Player of the Week last week.
Yep.
And James is doing what James is doing. James was hitting threes on us last week.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Let's look at how James is doing. I think also something to keep in mind about James is that correct me if I'm wrong. He's more of like a role player on your team, right? Like I'm looking at
Well,
the
it's
first round
not.
picks. These guys are all guys who are doing a lot of shooting.
Well, the difference between James and Abdul Wadud is that James is an offensive initiator, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that he likes to drive and kick. He likes to kind of do the dirty work.
Sure.
He sets the screens. He does a lot of important things for us. And James was the sixth pick. Abdul Wadud was the
Yeah.
second pick, right? So you're talking about a four-pick difference. And look at the difference. So show me James' page. So you're talking about 7 points to 10 points. James has more rebounds and more assists per game
Yeah.
than Abdul Wadud. 4 picks later, right? And I think James still has a barrier to break in terms of potential
Sure.
where he could be averaging more, but just 1 to 1. Like
Yeah.
James almost looks like the better player on paper, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
listen.
I'm not hating. I'm just
No,
saying
no, no. I
in
agree.
terms of so if you do a redraft, it does Abdul Wadud go second again?
I think he goes second or third, or like
Second round.
second. I think he goes second round, or really, or like first pick of the third
I
round
don't
or
think he
something,
falls to the third round,
right?
but I
Because
agree.
like even like if Monem was in the draft, like you probably take him before Abdul Wadud, right?
No,
That dude. That
no.
look at how Monem is helping his team in comparison. Pull up
I agree.
Abdul Wadud.
I agree that
Pull him up.
I have him here. I agree that Monem is having a bigger impact on games right now than Abdul Wadud. But I'll say this: Abdul Wadud would get picked in the second round just for being 6'5" alone. That's
Sure.
enough to get him picked over Monem. But yes, Monem is outperforming him.
I mean,
14 points to 10, right?
yeah.
I mean, they play different roles.
Sure. I'm just saying like I'm regurgitating what you said. I
Yeah.
think for a second round, for the second pick of the first round, um, I was hoping to see more out. I'm hoping to see more out of him. Like
Yeah.
there's more than half of a season left
Yeah.
for us to see out of. See that this is his first season
Yes.
at Muslim basketball.
Yep.
Okay. I think that for rookies, especially as a recent rookie myself, um, uh, there's a little bit. It takes a little bit to get used to the league.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we're seeing out of him. Inshallah, you would see in the next couple weeks a more team-oriented Abdul Wadud, who's
Yeah,
doing more for his team.
inshallah. So we're not gonna go through every pick just because that would take too long. But I'm just gonna highlight one. This is a big one. Abdurrahman at the
Talk us through
seventh
that trade.
seventh overall pick. Yeah, this one is big because I know it might be a little bit hard to follow via like my wording, right? It's easier when it's on paper, but I traded my second round first pick, so the seventh overall pick in the draft, and my seventh round sixth pick, the last pick in the draft, for Farhad's round two pick six and round four pick six. So let me make it simple. I moved down 5 spots in the second round, and I moved up. I can't. I don't know the exact math on it. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 spots in the, I believe, 18 spots from the last pick to round four, pick six. It's a little convoluted, but basically he traded up to the seventh pick for Abdurrahman. It's been a good pick.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's the that's the point that I'm
I
getting
remember
to.
when he moved up. Listen, like I said, I haven't had enough as much time as you to play with. You played your rookie season with him. You've had a couple seasons playing with him.
Yeah,
You've had a couple seasons playing against him. You've known him for much longer than I have. And also, I don't have the basketball IQ that you guys have. But when he traded up for that pick for AR, I was a little surprised. I was
yeah.
skeptical too. I was like, in my mind, I was like, even from from the outside looking in, I don't really get that trade. But
But it's worked out.
yeah, super props to Farhad for making that trade, and super props to AR for
Yeah,
making good on that, for not making Farhad pay for his faith in AR.
definitely.
So um,
Hakeem has been a good pick. I've talked about him enough, but that was a great pick.
my boy Matt,
Matt and Andy, we'll just pair them up.
yeah,
Two great picks in the second round.
and they fell lower than they were supposed to. Matt Lobster was supposed to go
Yeah,
six paces earlier, so he was supposed to go first
yeah,
round. So I would consider that a huge steal. He's
yeah.
a fantastic player.
Ismail was the first pick in the third round. Great pick, another great pick by Farhad. He's been great. Unfortunately, he goes down with an injury for what we believe will be the rest of the season. But
Yeah.
um, he
L
put
went
he put the league on notice.
sure. Sorry, I cut you
You're
off.
good. You're good. Go ahead.
L went right where he was supposed to.
And he's doing great.
Yeah,
He's having
he
a
was
great
supposed.
season.
L went second pick, third round to Manim's team. He went
Mhm.
right where he was supposed to.
Yeah,
It says that he's 5'7". I think that that's a lie.
yeah.
David Flores rising 8 points from where he was supposed to go.
Great pick.
He should have gone. He should have gone first, in my opinion.
Great pick.
Um,
We're gonna go down to.
I
Here's
listen.
one.
I have to say something real quick.
Yeah,
Selman was one of the big guys who was specifically asking about this because he's very interested. Selman,
yeah.
for your you went
6 picks above where you're supposed to
six
go.
picks were above where you're supposed to go. You went
And
third round, fifth round, so you were supposed
I
to go
can
the
give some
second round.
insight on Salman as a captain who was kind of on the inside loop on mock drafts.
I'd love to hear that.
So like obviously in the league you have stars, and then you have starters, and then you have role players, and then you have the guys who fill in the rest of the holes, right? As far as role to starter players go, Salman was one of the highest valued guys. So like when guys were talking about mock drafts and trades and stuff, Salman was always one of the top guys who people wanted on their teams. I think there was 3 or 4 teams who, in this area of like round three, late round two,
Yeah,
really wanted Salman.
sure. It's hard not to want him, dude. If you watch him play,
Yeah,
he is a 110% hustle
yep.
every
And
single
that's
play.
why guys wanted him.
Yeah, like
I'm pretty
he
sure
will
everyone
fight
wanted
for
him.
every rebound, every defensive play, every offensive play. He's doing something. So
Yeah.
mad respect to you.
So another guy who everyone wanted, and I'll highlight in the fourth round, is Othman Mohammed. I picked him 11 spots above where he was projected to go, but
I feel like he's paying dividends.
yep, I'll stand by that pick. Othman is probably the best defensive big man in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I always say it, it's like redundant at this point. He's literally like Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Rudy Gobert. Okay, I'm not gonna go through it, but if you know, you know. He's like Rudy Gobert. It's not even a deep reference. Everyone knows Rudy Gobert. You gotta watch some ball.
I think. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead. There's a guy on here that
he's a guy who I love to pick, and I'll make a tidbit about it. We were at the draft table, and I picked Othman. And I was between him and Hasib Malik. Literally, I was between who am I going to pick?
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with Ahmed, and we were talking about our projections and our mock drafts. And I took Othman. Next pick, Ayan takes Hasib. Immediately says, "I want to trade you Hasib for Othman," and that's when I knew I made the right pick.
Yeah, there you go.
Because when you pick someone, a guy picks the next guy and says, "Can we please swap?"
Yeah.
He wanted Othman for sure.
Yeah, and
Like
I'm
for
sure that
sure.
he knew that you would be interested in, especially because now you're saying that you were interested in Hasib. It
Yeah.
was between those two.
Yep.
Him taking Hasib is him picking the next best guy and being like, hey, like I got this guy.
Let's
Like let's.
swap him. Yeah.
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 Okay. I think it's very hard and almost impossible for us to not mention what Yassine and I don't put words in your mouth, but what I believe you and I would agree as the greatest steal,
Biggest steal of the
the
draft.
biggest steal of this draft
Biggest steal of the
is
draft.
David Barber coming in. He dropped 15 places.
Yeah.
Dropped 15 places from where he was supposed to.
Yeah.
David Barber going for in the 4th round, 5th pick.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
A great pick by Monem. I mean, you can see that it's like Monem's drafting is paying off. They're 3-1. They have the best record in the league, propelled by Monem himself. But they've been without David for 3 weeks of ball, and they looked really good. And we all knew as soon as David comes back, like it's just adding fuel to the fire, right?
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
The big bad Barber's back, and he made his presence known. And
Yep.
I think he fit in really well with that team, right? Like
Yep.
they had an unbelievable rebounding day. And I mean in seasons past, everyone, if you've played against David, you know David. You know that it is almost impossible to fight him on any rebound.
Yep.
That's like his bread and butter is fighting people underneath the basket and getting
Baby
rebounds.
Zion.
And he found a way with guys getting 15 rebounds on 15, 8 rebounds. He still found a way to get double-digit rebounds. I mean, like him dropping that low is crazy. I don't know what happened, but Monem, again, props to you for seeing that he was still on there and taking him right away. Because if David had gone to the 5th round, I mean, like I don't know what I don't.
Yeah.
People would have been 100% snoring on him.
He's a guy who I love David. I considered taking, but he was picked right before my pick. But alhamdulillah, I ended up with Akbar, who was another guy who I wanted.
Hey, how about Akbar saying that his strengths were too many to list? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, in his strengths. Another one I want to highlight is where's L? L's strengths are passing the ball, and his weakness is passing the ball too much.
meaning he feels he should have the ball more.
Yeah. But Akbar has a good one. Oh wait, we gotta highlight where's Farhad on this?
I mean, he's one of the captains. So
I know he had a great one. It was like
shooting, passing, defense.
His weakness was ball handling because it sounds sus. So that was
nice.
A good one.
Anyone else that you feel like you want to mention?
Yeah, I think you were a great pick at round 6, pick 3. Like it's easy to when you look around at the people who were picked just before and just after you, I think you're probably having a bigger impact than most of those guys. So good pick there. We can go down to Mr. Irrelevant, Omar Chowdhury. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that one. My boy Naji, bro. Naji.
Hey, he
finds.
Well. Oh wait, this is why I feel like it's almost inexcusable for guys to be having like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 on their
100%.
stats. Naji is arguably, I don't know, not arguably, he is the oldest dude in the league. If you watch him play, that dude is fighting every single play. He's fighting for every rebound he can. He's fouling on defense. Why? Not because he's just like mindlessly walking out there and shoving people. It's because he's trying, he's hustling, he's putting in an effort. If Naji is out there getting buckets, because he is getting buckets, he had
4 points a game on 50% from the field.
How many did he have against us? I think he had four or 6 against us. He had a couple layups on us.
Yeah, he had 4.
He had 4. Okay, and they were contested. People are not just letting him throw buckets up on us, especially on a game that close and that intense.
Yeah.
If Naji, the oldest dude in the league, is getting stats, you getting 0 stats, you got to do something, dude. Yep.
Shout out to Naji. He was a great pick at his spot. Shout out to the Knicks. Just defeated the Timberwolves. OG Anunoby's first game, looking like a beautiful trade.
All right. Do you wanna start wrapping this up?
Yeah. You guys already reviewed the games for next week, right?
Do you want to give your calls real quick?
Yeah, I can just go through it real quick. Game 1 is Lod versus Tiberius. That's our team winning that game. Week 2 is completely dependent on game 2, sorry. Ramallah versus Sheikh Jarrah is completely dependent on AR's health. If he's there, what they're going to do about the Ismail replacement. It's Monday. We'll probably know by midweek what the replacement is going to look like, if there's going to be one. But for now, with all the uncertainty, I've got to take Sheikh Jarrah.
It's hard not to.
looking dominant. Nazareth versus Deir Yassin, easy pick. I'm taking Nazareth. I think Deir Yassin still has a lot to prove. I haven't really been convinced by anything. They have one forfeit win. They had a win over Ramallah without AR and Drew, which I've highlighted before. I don't know how this team wins without AR. So, and then they have the rough loss week 1 against us. Last week, I was told it was a really good game. Went down to the wire against the best team in the league.
Yeah.
So credit to them for fighting, but I don't see them beating Nazareth at full strength.
I don't really see anyone beating Nazareth.
Yeah. We'll see about that. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the bye week podcast. I know that there were a lot of guys who are really interested in hearing about the draft. I'm glad that we could delve into that. Inshallah, anyone who is, I know that again, this is last week was not last week, the week 4 games. There were a lot of guys missing because they're sick. Inshallah, anyone who is feeling under the weather, we're giving you our dua, and we hope that you're feeling better for our coming season. Because no one wants, if you have honor, you don't want, it's not fun to play a game and win and feel like you're walking away with a win because
someone's hurt
or sick. Ismail, inshallah, unfortunately, you're a big loss for your team. They need you a lot, and it was really nice watching you play. Inshallah, you come back soon, healthy, and feeling better. Make sure that you're keeping your donations for Palestine. Make sure that you are raising your voice about Palestine in any way that you can. There's so little that we can do from where we are at here in Allentown. The most that you could be doing is raising your voice and making your voice heard for those who are voiceless.
He pretty much hit everything. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if hopefully we were able to, this week we kind of tried to get a little bit more into the details and the analysis of players and stuff. I know guys like to hear their names on the podcast, which I get that. So
any names that we haven't mentioned that need to be mentioned?
No. I know L loves to talk, so I give him his credit. He's having a good season.
I think he gets overlooked a lot.
Jay Smoothie. Shout out to Jay Smoothie.
Hey, bring him back. Add him back.
We love Jay Smoothie on the podcast. We love him in MB. And hopefully we're hoping for a big week from Jay Smoothie. I know he's a consistent listener of the pod. He's always commenting. I should have said this in the beginning, but make sure you interact with everything on our socials and on this video. And if you have any suggestions for the pod or any of our social media or anything in MB, feel free to shoot it our way. If there's a segment you'd like to see, if you'd like to help out in any way, let us know. Sure. We're open to everything. And
I'm going to take a page out of Ahmed's book. If there's something that you disagree with, keep it to yourself because we don't care.